everyone. Today we are starting in Exodus chapter 3. We're just going to look at verses 1 through 10. Now, as we do the quick recap, we have been introduced to all of the major components of what's going to be the focal point, the story of Exodus. Chapter 1 was all about the people of Israel and how they came to be enslaved. And we know in there that God is paying attention. Chapter 2 was all about introducing us to this key individual, Moses, and his life. And now we find ourselves in chapter 3. He has fled Pharaoh, and he is now with his father-in-law, Jethro, and he is tending sheep in the wilderness. There's debate as to how old Moses is at this stage, but a whole lot of people think he was probably around 40 years old when, as you begin reading at verses 1 on, that he has an encounter with God. The famous scene of the burning bush. And as Moses sees this burning bush that's not being consumed, he gets curious, he wants to know what's going on, and then we get this at verse 4. When the Lord saw Moses coming to take a closer look, God called to him from the middle of the bush, "Moses, Moses." "Here I am," Moses replied. Here's what's important. The "I am" is jumping out at me. And in fact, pay attention throughout the entirety of chapter 3. "I am" keeps popping up. In this case, it is God who has just identified Moses. He has called out and said, hey, you are Moses. And Moses is agreeing with who God has named him to be. He says, "Here I am." But then God goes on to identify himself. At verse 6, he says, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." When Moses heard this, he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. So now God, who at this point maybe for everybody had been kind of an abstract idea, a hope that he was somehow paying attention, he is inserting himself into the human condition. And in fact, we pick up again in the middle of verse 7, he says, "Yes, I am aware of their suffering." God is now clearly saying that not only is he tracking on things, not only is he inserting himself into the human condition, but he is inserting himself for a purpose. He is aware of the suffering of his people. And then God says that he's going to be the one that drives the train to the solution as he says, "Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt." It is God who declares our identities. It is God who shaped us in the first place and knows best who we were always meant to be anyway. And so here we have it. God has declared Moses' identity, and Moses has accepted that. And then God has clarified his identity and made clear that he is not an abstraction in the distance. It's as though instead of "I am," it's like he's asserting, "I exist. I am here. I am a part of your life." And that's what I think we all need to walk away with from these first 10 verses, that we have a God who engages in our realities. Now, of course, the very next thing that's going to happen is human doubt. That's going to be in tomorrow's reading as you see Moses question his identity and God having to reaffirm who he is and what he is about. And ultimately, all of our identities hinge on the declaration of who God is, the one who exists, the one who enters, the one who transforms. So my prayer for us today is that we would contemplate what it means to live out our identities as God has given them to us. Because it is when we recognize the presence of God in our lives that we can begin to see the transformative power of God's love. And as we are transformed by that love, those around us will witness it and desire as well to have the presence of God in their lives. And it's right there for them. So, know who you are in God and share God's love with others. Have a great day, everyone.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.